It's the Sage Against the Machine podcast, brought to you by Aboriginal Outlaw Studios.
Hello.
Isaac White in the house.
What's going on?
Myself, Joshua, Aboriginal Outlaw, and guy who does weird things.
Yeah, you do weird things.
The good kind of weird, not the Epstein Island kind of weird.
Well, not Epstein Island kind of weird. I didn't think you were going to go that far. That was a little bit of a shock.
I was editing the other podcast today, so.
Oh, you know what? Did you? So I saw on Facebook. I know, like, this isn't like necessarily pertinent to what we're going to talk about, but have you seen the conspiracy theory shit around Tom Hanks?
I haven't.
And Epstein?
I haven't particularly, but men are our people into that shit.
There really are. And I saw one the other day, and like, I'm not going to name anybody, but if they listen to this, they'll probably know that I'm talking about them.
And you are.
And I am. But this person put up something, and they're big into the conspiracies, and I've gotten into multiple, like, pointless, like, trying to, just say, like, well, this is what the facts are. And that doesn't
Fuck
good.
you and logic.
Right. And, but anyway, it was just, like, about Tom Hanks, and that he was arrested, and he was, the whole thing. He's in Jeffrey Epstein's flight logs and all that shit. So I, like, just out of curiosity, did like 3 minutes of, like, reading, and right away that one, because there's people on there who say the BBC ran a headline that said that Tom Hanks was arrested and charged in connection to, like, Epstein shit, which was not true.
Right.
And then
we have a thing called records, you mean?
Yeah. And the whole thing with the flight logs, apparently that, like I said, I only read for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Apparently that's not true either. I can't really say that with 100%, as a journalist. I don't want to say that I'm 100% confident in that, but It looks like that's not true either.
Right.
And I just wonder what the motivation is behind trying to, slur Tom Hanks.
Yeah, maybe it's the Golden Cow thing. I don't know, like taking down symbols.
Oh, the Golden Cow.
Yeah.
It could be.
I mean, there's a few untouchables. There's Mr. Rogers, who seems to be a delightful person.
Yes.
Or was a delightful person. Now he's very dead.
An actual one.
An actual one. Bob Ross seems to be a decent fella.
Yep.
A bit of a player, but nothing out of it.
I had no idea. Did you see the movie about him yet?
I did.
Is it good?
Yeah.
I didn't even watch it yet.
Yeah, I watched a documentary.
Who plays? Is that James Franco?
Oh, I didn't see the, like, fictionalized movie. I saw.
No, yeah, there's a fictionalized movie coming out. Yeah,
I didn't see that.
I didn't watch the documentary yet either.
I watched the documentary. It was sad because they think maybe he got cancer because he used oil paints.
Lead paints?
No, just oil based, but the acetone and the paint thinner. You watch the end. He always cleans off his brush and he whaps it. They said the whole studio would smell like paint thinner. So. Yeah, just years of that. Just chemical exposure. It makes a kind of sense.
Oh, that does make sense. I didn't know that acetone could do that. Although if the air is completely saturated with it,
for I could years see, on end. Yeah,
you're breathing in those particulates.
Yeah, I mean, we're finding out a lot of stuff that we thought was completely safe.
True.
Yeah,
happens all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ, they thought lead paint was safe.
Right.
And
Asbestos
is
all natural.
Yeah.
I love that. I love to talk about that when someone says something's all natural. So is asbestos.
Yeah, that was. I think I have heard that before.
It's a rock. They mine it.
I just, you know what I mean? Like, honestly, when you think about it, I think you and I were talking about this before. When you actually look at, the progression of human society, like you realize, like, even at your current moment of time, like, this is the most advanced humanity's ever been. We still don't really know shit.
No.
It's a drop in the bucket.
We don't even know if we're a computer simulation or if we're in a multiverse and none of it really matters, like, ultimately.
Oh, here we go. I was waiting for you to go like this. See, like, you are quick to turn me from, like, the worst fucking pessimist in the world into, like, sounding like a goddamn all, like, cheerleader fucking hippie or something.
You're gonna bring the good news.
Holy moly!
The word of the Lord.
And I'm like the most rottenest Eeyore motherfucker on the planet.
I don't mean it doesn't matter in like a bad way either.
I know.
But it's like ultimately because when I was a kid, I would fucking be up all night. I would stay up all night thinking about things like this, and it would like I would cry, be scared.
Me too.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know if everybody does this, but I think if you're.
I don't think so.
If you're of a certain wattage, you do.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, and we have talked about that before, like not, in this kind of like setting, but I mean, it's humans, right? Like there's going to be people whose brains are running here, ones who are running here. And then the things that you think about are different. Like what you were just describing. I used to think about shit like that. And when I was a little kid.
When I was a little kid.
It started about like 9-10 years old for me. And then I would be completely freaked out.
Yeah.
And then, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that most kids do that.
They're not all. I was like 6 years old thinking about infinity and heaven and like, because, I got fed Catholicism. And I'm just thinking, well, how does that work? And then what came before that? And what happens to that? And then you start thinking, well, maybe you think of forever. And then when you really get the concept of forever, it's like, okay. Now I'm just like, my brain's not built for this. So
yep, that's what the one that got me, like more thinking about like environment and shit like that. When I was young, that was like 9-10. But I do remember like being like, 5, 6, 7 years old and having that first time where you actually start to like try to comprehend death, like what it really is.
Yeah.
And that was what got me. And because when you said the idea of forever, like true infinity, like the idea of dying and there's just nothingness. And that's what scares everybody, right?
Yeah.
But that was, when you're 6 or 7 and that's the first time, like, that's fucking freaked you out.
It's terrifying now.
It is.
You ever go under anesthesia?
Nope, I won't. I told my wife, you never let them put me under unless I'm going to die without the surgery.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Anesthesia is like being off. It's like you close your eyes, then you open your eyes again, and there's people. It's not like sleep either. Sleep, you can tell time has passed.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
That's kind of like my wife has had surgeries, like knee replacement and shit like that. I can't, and that's what she said. It's like you go to sleep and you get woken up.
Right.
I don't have any interest in that.
So I choose to do the Buddhist thing and go to non-attachment, and I'm not attached to the outcome. Yeah. I'm just going to live in the moment.
Buddhism. You know what? I got to get back to that podcast, the one you do about philosophize this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's go back to that. It is good.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
If you like, I find it better to take in that kind of subject material, like in an audio manner than trying to read it.
Right.
Because I'm dumb. And so like, I have a harder time when I'm actually trying to read that shit.
I'm a better listener than reader at this point. I used to be a great reader.
Me too.
I used to devour books.
Yeah.
And now it's like page 3.
That's how I am now too. It's like I can't remember the last time it's been months since I read a physical book, and which is not really something I should be fucking bragging about, but
yeah.
I mean, I've listened to books.
Right.
But I haven't actually read one.
I'm a fan of the audiobook.
I like audiobooks.
Yeah.
And if you go into certain good websites on the intranets, you can find them for free.
You can, or if you have a library card, you can go to Libby, and you can check it out from the library.
I didn't know that.
Absolutely, get the Libby app.
Holy shit! Yep. You know what? Okay, how embarrassing is that for me? I'm a journalist and a paralegal who does research, and I didn't know that. That's pretty bad.
Another life tip is I do this when I'm listening to like educational podcasts.
Yeah.
Play it about 1.5 speed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do that too.
Yeah.
I tried 2 once, but
no, it's a little too much. It's a little fast.
Yeah, it's a little too much. I like 1.5.
I don't retain information the same way when I hear it, though. I'm a good listener, but I remember the broad general idea, but not like specific details.
Yep. Yeah, I kind of get like that too. It's like I got to take notes or, have it there where I can go back to it and listen to certain points a couple times. Like, you're listening to it, and if you have something where you can bookmark it, you hit the bookmark and then go back to it and then kind of, I'm not trying to memorize the whole fucking thing, but I do, there's certain high points that I want to pick up and make sure stick.
Audible's good for that.
Yeah.
The Audible app.
I've only tried it a couple days. It's too expensive.
Yeah, it got to. I can't. Like, I don't buy a membership. You get to keep your books.
Yeah.
But
yep.
Yeah, it's not worth what it costs.
No way.
It's like,
because especially like I really don't care. Like, I have no compunctions about like borrowing media
right
for free because they charge way too much money for it. Like, and I'm sorry, like, I understand that people are pumping money into this, but they're fucking usually giant corporations.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that, like, if they just get, like, okay, you could take a movie like my favorite movie of all time is Goodfellas, right?
Uh-huh.
So you're, like, I have a hard time not believing that you couldn't produce, like, you couldn't take that story and have done it like, and I'm not the director, because I do think the director you gotta have, you know what I mean? But aside from Scorsese, he probably could have just scoured for no-name actors who could have done those roles and probably done them just as well as those guys.
I don't know. Those are pretty good guys.
They are. They're great. But like, you ever like watched a show or something like that, and there's like just some little, like Yeoman Number 5 but like they're acting in like one scene, they get like 4 lines, but they kill it,
Yeah.
and you never see that person again. And like, I frequently wonder, could they do that? You know what I mean? In a longer thing. And I
think that's where good actors come from. They're that guy, and then that guy just gets bigger and bigger parts, and then eventually that guy gets to charge more.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it usually works. It's just, I don't know that whatever it is that sets people, like for example, like De Niro. Well, I mean, honestly, all the guys in Goodfellas turned in fucking phenomenal. Lorraine Bracco too.
Oh, it's a classic.
It is. It's like, that's why it's my favorite movie. But I look at that and I'm like, okay, you give those guys their due because they're all great actors. But I think about that stuff sometimes because, like, I'm a movie and TV freak, and I guess I'm just trying to justify me using Kodi or some other streaming thing for free to be able to watch all this shit without paying for it.
I think ad-based stuff is fine. Like,
Did you read the paper today?
I didn't. Is it out? The new episode?
Yeah, because I was kind of thinking that this one subject would be something we could talk about today.
We can. I heard my son's on the front page.
Yeah, he is.
I better go to the store and get some.
Really nice picture too. Did you take that one? I took that. Yeah, that's a beautiful picture.
I'm not bad sometimes.
Yeah, man, that was really, really good.
1 in 100 is good.
Margie and I this morning, we were looking at the, the paper, like, because ship it out today and all that, and it was like we were both like, wow, that's a beautiful picture. Everybody was really pleased with that one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, put it up on the thing and show them, like, because that was like, it is. It's really, really good.
The event was good.
Yeah,
yeah.
I imagine it would be. I heard that when PJ does that,
he's one of the okay ones.
Good stuff. Yeah. Well, I know, like, the whole cop thing.
Yeah.
I still am like, we need cops, and don't bash our cops.
You'll get over that as soon as they bash you.
I've had it happen before, so of course I'll
call them cops when they have a different handbook.
Yeah, they didn't bash me, but they definitely took me in when they didn't have to.
Yeah,
and not that I'm not saying at one point or another my interactions with them that I didn't deserve it at some point, but whatever. Yeah, but yeah, so I wrote an article this week, and it was about the monthly meeting.
Okay.
So
this is the St. Regis Mohawk Tribe's monthly meeting.
Yeah.
Juicy.
The May monthly meeting.
Juicy.
It was crazy. But that was why I was wondering if you'd read it. Okay, so
I haven't. So let me know. Let our listeners know what happened. What's going on?
So I'm at the meeting. I'm covering it for the paper, and for everybody who's listening to this, I don't know if you know, but I've been working for Indian Time for a few months now. So I go to cover the monthly meeting, and I'm there in my capacity as a writer. So I am not in the kind of mindset where I'm gonna speak as a community member, right? Because I'm there doing my job as a reporter. So the meeting goes along, and it just like, there's these weird things that keep happening. There's SRMT employees in the back, and they're like shooting stuff out, like interjecting when community members are speaking, and like not in a nice tone. And like, I sit in the back, council table's in the front, and I sit in the back to try to kind of stay out of the way of everything, you know, take my notes and all that stuff. And I was like, what the hell? And then the seniors benefit came up. And, you know, there's all kinds of rumors going around about the seniors benefit. You know, there's people saying they're going to cut it. You know, they're going to change it, whatever. And I think the message was pretty clear from council that they are committed to, you know, they're committed to keeping it, you know, whatever. I mean, take that for what you will. But all of a sudden, Michael and Ron it was like a switch went off or something, and they started to berate people like, and this is the thing, in the article, I spoke about them kind of being unprofessional towards a community member, and like, it really was. It was mean. It was mean and inappropriate. And so I didn't say any specifics about one person because it was dark in there, and I could see who they were directing their words towards, but they didn't point. They didn't say name. Yeah. So you couldn't really, you know, say, well, I know that they were talking to this person. You could see them making like eye contact towards them. Okay. So
sounds like lateral violence to me.
It was like, no, man, it was straight up like, it was like, I was shocked, and frankly, I was embarrassed. And that wasn't even the end of it. And so, and like me, I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, we have a Duda sitting right here, and they're accusing her of having secret meetings about the seniors benefit and disseminating rumors and about it and all this. And like, it was clearly personal for them. So that happened. And then there was another community member who started talking about the tribal court. Now, you and I have talked about the tribal court at length.
Not a fan.
Neither am I, and I worked there for 5 years.
I might have said something when I ran for chief about them.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, we both did, actually. And I believe we both talked about it on Meet the Candidates night.
Yeah.
While Judge Garrow was running.
And overseeing one of my cases.
Yes. That was, hey, man, you know what?
I'm self-destructive, man.
This is what.
Fuck those weirdos.
You need. You got it. You have to say it. You know, it's got to be said. Hey, man, I'm not going to say that they're weirdos, but.
They are weirdos.
If you got an issue with, like, you're a court, conduct yourself in the proper way, and then, you know, keep it moving. But so, community member brings up this issue that they've wanted council to address, you know, for months, and I've heard it before. And so Bev starts talking, and she goes on this, like, rhetorical, because this person was talking about bias against Longhouse people in the tribal court.
Oh, I might have heard a thing or two about that before.
Yes, because, and that was the thing too, I didn't want to say anything because that was kind of something that had happened to me. And so, you know, they're speaking, they talk about that. When Bev starts talking, and she goes into this like rhetorical word salad. You know, it almost sounds like when they talk about like truth and reconciliation.
Yeah, they just bore you to death with a speech.
Right. It's, we all have to be accepting of each other, and we're trying to find our way back to who we are. And
it's always rhetorical, way off in the future.
Yeah.
Someday, this took so hundreds of years, blah, 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 blah. So we don't have to, oh, fuck it, I'm going home.
Yeah. And that's what, and I'm sitting here listening to it, and, I'm being particularly critical of thinking critically of this because I'm a reporter and it's my job to, report what's going on. And I know I'm going to ask questions after. So she says all this stuff had nothing to do with what, this community member had brought up. And I am not bullshitting you. I couldn't believe this happened. She gets done speaking and people start fucking clapping. And it was those employees who had been shouting shit out at community members while they were speaking. And guess who else?
Who else?
Council table.
Okay.
And I was like, jaw.
Theater.
And I was like, and mind you, I'm taking notes. So, and I'm taking notes on my phone. So I'm taking notes and I'm trying to look up while I'm writing to see who was clapping. And full transparency, I couldn't tell exactly who all was clapping. I knew I saw two. And so meeting breaks, I go up there and I ask Michael and Ron questions because those were the two who started to get really defensive and about the seniors benefit.
Yeah.
And then they also were the ones that I thought I saw clapping when Bev finished her rhetorical words. So that happens. I go up and when I asked Ron about because what I said to both of them on that topic was, were you clapping when Bev stopped speaking?
Mm-hmm.
And Michael was quiet and Ron said, yeah, I started clapping. And I asked him why. And so he tells me, he said, because I think she was right. And I said, it was basically, I'm asking, do you have an issue though that, your fellow council member didn't address even remotely what the community member had brought up?
Mm-hmm.
And he was kind of looking for his words and said something. And then I kind of followed up because I didn't want to let that go. I wanted to know why. And he acknowledged that it had nothing to do with what the community member brought up. And so I said, and this is how I ended the story in the paper. I kind of pushed on, for an answer on that again. And the last thing he said was, you're going to have to ask Bev about that. And I was like, are you this is crazy to me. Who the fuck claps like that for word salad that answers no questions?
Right.
I was like, maybe I'm the only one who thinks that that's weird or that it needed to be reported, but I don't know. It was strange to me. They were on the attack and then clapping for nothing.
So is it a ploy? Is the whole thing a plant? Is the whole thing structured and created like theater? Maybe even I know I have years ago participated in politics a bit, and I saw how they orchestrated it. Honestly, that's why I don't, because I did see how prior council people would do that sort of thing, and it grossed me out. And I've seen how bureaucrats operate when they think you're on their side, and it grosses me out. And honestly, the French Revolution wasn't always wrong.
No.
I could see how you get to that place where you bring out the guillotine.
Jesus Christ, they were starving.
Yeah. We don't have that problem around here.
No, definitely not.
But
see this?
Yeah. Or is it so many of our people are completely reactive and don't possess critical thinking skills, or don't employ them, especially when they're emotional? Because I've run into that on social media even recently. I've run into people being very reactive over what didn't turn out to be even true.
Right.
And these aren't like, your typical, stereotypical person who would see. These are people with master's degrees who have been involved in politics and economic development and all that sort of stuff. And some of them have run for chief themselves. And all of these people had a very strong opinion over something they were completely wrong about. And they didn't even bother to stop themselves and say, hey, maybe I shouldn't comment in a reactive manner before I actually learn anything at all.
Yep.
Which to me is, we always like to make hay about the good mind. I mean, the good mind, even friends, it drives them crazy. I'm learning to navigate that myself. That when I hear something, I don't just immediately get pissed off and I'm going to fucking say something on Facebook and solve zero problems with it.
Yep.
But I'm going to feel like I did something and actually, do a little critical thinking.
Yep.
So I'm wondering if are those related? Like, is this whole thing people just being emotional and so emotional that they're easily manipulated and easily convinced by just plain oration, or is this a plant?
I honestly felt, to me, it felt genuine. I felt like, well, at least the portion I felt that the portion regarding the seniors benefit, that felt like genuine, like that just happened, but they were being reactive, and honestly, I can get pretty wild, like when I start in a debate or whatever, and I think it's natural for a person to, if they're hearing rumors and it's kind of directed at them and the job that they do, that sort of thing, that, I think it's natural to potentially have initial thoughts of, this is an attack on me and I want to yell about it.
Yeah.
I get that, but, and I don't ever want to hear anybody say, because, well, they're humans too. Yeah, they are. But you signed up to serve the community. You are the face and voice of our people to New York State, the counties, the towns, the federal government, like you are.
Yeah, you went out, had all your cousins vote for you.
Yeah, hey man,
you had to go to their house and tell them a couple lies, and
that is true, but at the end of the day, you are in that position. Yeah. So conduct yourself accordingly.
And none of them are dumb enough to know that those attacks aren't what happens, and there are people that are straight up against them.
Yep.
I mean, there's people who straight up would like to dissolve the elective council.
Yes.
Like, if you're traditional, that's your default standing. You're full of shit, but that is still the way. The default mode is that this is an imposition and violates the great law. So if you're traditional, it's a no-go there.
Yep.
I mean, nobody does anything about it.
See, well, that's what, you know what I mean? That's the thing, is like nobody does anything
something
about
you
it.
Just say.
And me personally, like you were saying earlier, is like, too wayward without a longhouse, great law followers.
Wandering Ronin.
But the thing is that ideal world, you get rid of the elected councils and you form a government based truly on the principles of the great law. That's not going to happen.
No.
So so like I'm realistic about this shit. I know that we have the elected councils. They're not going away anytime soon, nor do I necessarily think, first of all, I wouldn't want to get rid of them without something to implement to handle all of our community, which is what a lot of people seem to want to do, which is really fucking stupid.
Well, you know how much crack I could sell?
Dude, I'm telling you, like, doesn't that drive you nuts when people are like, let's throw out the councils? And I'm like, what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do after that?
I'm yes and no on it.
No.
I'm yes and no in that the power of momentum is going to make sure, and the power of entropy will make sure it will probably just either stagnate or get worse. And the impetus of the people to get involved, enough people to get involved, because it doesn't affect them enough.
Right.
And if it doesn't affect them enough, is it necessary at all?
That's why they don't vote now.
Yeah. So is it, or can we just all sit on our phones and just vote for individual projects, just with a button, and just let it, if you have a tribal card, you get the tribal app, and we just direct democracy this shit.
You mean like Ballot initiatives?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Actually, that's really how it works in the Longhouse. Well, it's supposed to.
I mean, it's a small, we have a lot of government for what's a town smaller than Messina.
Are you sure we're smaller than Messina?
Well, the tribal side is. And the Canadian side, if you take them separately, they're probably smaller than Messina. Combined, they're still smaller than Messina.
Yeah, no, I was just asking.
I think what are our population numbers truly?
Exactly.
15,
I have
18.
no idea what the true population numbers are.
Even if it's under 20, it's under 20,000.
Sure, definitely.
So it's a small town.
Yeah, because the last number I heard on total enrollment for the tribe was 16,000, and I'm pretty damn sure that MCA is lower because it's harder to get on the band over there.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I thought MCA's was higher. I know they have more houses.
Well, they also MCA will back mortgages because it's different on the Canadian side.
Right.
When I worked for Nation Building, I had to learn some of the stuff and promptly forgot all of it pretty much when I left there. But MCA does back mortgages with through Bank of Montreal, and so that's why there's more houses over there and stuff. I don't know why the council. I mean, we've talked about housing before.
I know there's a history with a failed banking system here on the res.
I don't know the whole details
but I don't know
of
the
that.
details enough to talk about it.
No, neither do I. And I don't know that. I mean, I've talked to an economist and stuff. He's a white guy, but he's an economist.
Economist, a white guy? No way.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, that's what I'm like. Man, fucking economics is so boring. It really is to me. But yeah, it just all of this stuff kind of goes back to I'm trying to come back to. The initial thing we were talking about. And I really when you said reactive, that really shone. Mm-hmm. It really shone brightly in there. It was I really was. I was embarrassed. Because you everybody has a bad day and all that.
Yeah.
I get it. But you've got a month to prepare for this shit.
Right.
Get it out at home and don't bully an elder who's sitting in front of you. And mind you, I know there were some seniors who were having meetings about the benefit. Far as I know, it wasn't necessarily secret. And the person who they were directing their vitriol to was not the elder who was having those meetings.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I know if it's the meetings that I think that they were talking, which I'm pretty sure it is, it wasn't that person.
Man, they should hear say the thing we say at our meetings.
Yeah, I know, right? I just, that reactivity, it bothers me. And I like that because I've talked about being reactive. I'm reactive frequently. I'm better than I used to be. Yeah. But I mean, well, not frequently anymore, but I can recognize when I am. And as well as I do, you just laid out a good case for it. Being reactive is not the way you want to approach a situation.
It's almost like we have a great law of peace that pretty much says don't be reactive when it's time to make a decision.
Yeah.
And we'll do a whole bunch of weird ceremonies to get your mind off the ground.
And we'll set up a protocol and procedure where you bring an issue to the floor and then put it out to the people. You go to clans. You got to reach consensus. Then you come back.
Oh, we have to go to clans? Now I know why the tribe doesn't want to go traditional.
Yeah, exactly.
Ba-dum-bum.
Got it. But I mean, that, you know what I mean? That's the thing is it's just take a little hint from it. You know what I mean? I couldn't believe that. Honestly, I would not have expected them to react that way to a senior in public. And, I've heard stories of, council members that maybe got, a little salty, whatever. But I certainly, the rumors, that we always hear are, they'll do that, but it's behind closed doors.
Oh, I've seen screaming. So I that's what I'm wondering. That's the other side of this is I hear that, and I've seen screaming matches.
Yeah.
Back in the day,
Oh, in a meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard those stories.
Yeah, tribal meetings.
Yeah, I've heard those.
That's why they have those tribal protocols to kind of put a kibosh on that sort of thing. But yeah, I've seen screaming matches. I've seen people threatening violence.
I've heard that there were fights like in the 80s. That there were fights.
In the 80s, it was fucking madness. It sounded so fun. I wish it was like that again.
I know. That's what, like, I don't know. I think about the way, like, I grew up, and I'm like, shit. I mean, a lot of the stuff I got to do was cool. It's totally inappropriate, but I shouldn't have been hanging out in a bar when I was 5, you know, like, just all day long. It wasn't really a smart thing to do.
I don't think it's appropriate for child. I was thinking about this sometimes. I don't think it's appropriate for tribal staff to vote. I think they're too enmeshed in the system. I don't think they get to count as the people anymore.
I think that the behavior that was shown on Saturday would normally I would just say flat out no. You're wrong, and if you're one of us, you get to vote. What I saw on Saturday would actually make me pause because that was also really inappropriate, unprofessional, and that was also a little embarrassing.
In my mind, as someone who's an employee, you're a cog in the system, operating system, so you're a servant of the system.
Yeah.
So I'm not so certain you should have. It's like a conflict of interest for you to have a voice here. It's just like I believe it's some countries active soldiers can't vote, something like that, or maybe it's during wartime, something like that.
Could be. But yeah,
there's fuzzy knowledge.
Well, but like I can understand your logic, how you got there. I really can. But I really would never have even considered agreeing with what you said until Saturday.
And no guns came out. I've seen people bring guns to tribal meetings.
Jesus. It was so strange. Like I get out of the meeting, I asked my questions, and then I scoot the hell out of there. And I immediately start texting my wife and my boss and like, okay, the meeting was really weird. Like, I can't believe I just saw what I just saw. And then I just had to like say it to somebody.
Yeah.
Because it was quite odd to me. Like, I mean, I've seen spirited debates happen at meetings and all that, but like I've never saw anything where I would have said, and I've been to a fair number of meetings over the years. I've never saw a meeting where I came out saying that was completely unprofessional by council and they should be ashamed. And Saturday was that.
Really?
Yes. That was...
Get it together, guys.
Yeah. I mean...
Do some yoga.
It was...
I know a guy.
And like I said, I get it. People have bad days, but you can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You gotta handle that like, at home or whatever. Go take a ride or go jump in the river or something.
Smoke a fat joint.
Yeah, like that's what I do. I went home and smoked a big fat one, and then, oh man, I wish I wouldn't have said it like that. And then I took a nap. That's why I was late getting here. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, it was crazy.
So you're looking forward to next month?
I am. Well, there's more that may be coming to the story. I'm just trying to piece it all together and see if there's a there, but I can't really say anything without knowing, knowing more yet, but
that's called being wise.
Yes. I may not be too bright, but I'm bright enough to know where I need to be very careful of what I say.
Well, you can. I don't have that.
No,
I don't have that handicap.
Well, you know what? Actually, I was wondering what you would think about this. Because ever since Saturday, like I leave the meeting and I ask those questions, and honestly, like during the meeting, I was flabbergasted, and I was like, I just didn't feel good. Just a blah thing to say, but I just didn't feel good.
Okay.
But later that day, and then over the ensuing days, I started to feel guilty because even now, I think I should have said something when they were doing that to the elder.
That tracks.
And mind you, this is an elder that I am close with, like, friends and someone that I've spent, a fair amount of time with. But even aside from that, any person shouldn't have been treated like that, particularly an elder or if it was a child, but I felt guilty because I didn't say anything because I'm there, doing my job. So I'm like, I don't know if I should do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I've been feeling badly about that ever since. Was like, I probably should have just said something.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't have to jump up and scream at them or anything, but just remind them you're talking to one of our people who is an elder.
I think that's,
and a woman.
I do think that's like the bystander thing, and there's that, and there's also just longhouse people are more empowered too. Mm-hmm. So when you don't use your power, you kind of feel like you let the dark side win.
I'll be honest, I did.
Yeah,
I did because first of all, it would have been good for this person to see me actively supporting them because I should have. And see, this is something different with the show that we can talk about. Like, I'll lay out my flaws if I think I'm wrong, and I've said that before. If I was wrong, I'll tell you, and I'll, correct it. If that ever happens again, I won't just, I won't, because I'm worried about my conflicts with my job and just being a human being. And you're right. If you're someone who follows the great law or, does your best to, you do have power. Everybody has power. Your voice, your mind, that's your power. And you have a duty to help people. Yeah. Do no harm, right?
Well, I mean, if you're going to do harm, do so much harm.
Oh, yeah. If I'm doing harm, I'm getting the war club. And
if I'm doing harm, I'm going to see how many limbs I can break before the police get there.
Hell yeah. I guess this is definitely going to get us elected at some point.
I mean, if I had been elected, my secret police would have rounded all those people up by now anyway. So, I mean, there would be red flags flying from the top of the building.
Oh, God.
I mean, we would have stormtroopers. That would be great.
Would you use brown shirts again?
No, man. Brown doesn't track. I want I'm a Dune fan, so it's gonna be like flowy Jedi kind of stuff. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I like
roby kind
of, maybe linen and.
Oh yeah.
But underneath, like body armor.
Okay.
Like cool body armor.
I've never watched Dune or read the book.
The book I recommend. It's very good. I like the new movie. Some people find it a little slow because there's a lot of exposition.
It's long, right?
It's long, but I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah?
Yeah, the costumes are great. So
I'm not usually like into the costumes or anything, but I do like a good movie.
They capture the world well.
Yeah?
Yes.
That's why I've always heard that the book is like amazing.
Yeah.
And
so it'll be like the Fremen. That's right. Well,
Fremen?
That's the guys. It's like desert people.
Okay.
Desert warriors who ride giant sandworms.
Oh, so they're like the
they're the indigenous people.
No, but in Star Wars, the ones who live in the desert.
The Jawas.
Jawas, yeah.
No, it's more like the sand people.
Okay.
Yeah, you know how the sand people are?
Yeah.
Okay. It's more like the sand people, but they're also like, basically the environment is so hard it creates the hardest people in the galaxy.
Oh.
And then they have this extra power because they have this spice, which is probably an allegory for oil.
Okay.
So, and these are the hardest fighting, suffering people because it's just the environment created them that way.
Yeah.
Just like our environment in the past created us. Into hard monkey people?
Have you ever heard? I've heard Rogan talk about this before. He said he believes that people who live in the Northeast are hardier and tougher because we all live through the winter. I actually agree with that.
Yeah,
I do think that there's something to that.
In the Midwest.
In the Midwest definitely.
People are known for being.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to live in, if you're living in a place where 4-5 months out of the year, it's brutal cold and you're just.
I mean, it was 26 degrees last night, and we're in May.
Was it really 26?
It was.
Jesus.
And we're in May, so the last time it was 70 degrees was like last September.
All of my seedlings are done.
Yeah.
I couldn't put it like I started them and I was like, oh yeah, because in a couple of weeks it'll be warm enough to just put them outside.
See, my laziness is wisdom.
Yeah, I know that.
I read the portents and it said it's going to be cold. The ancestors, they spoke to my mind.
Speak into the wind.
They said start your weed next week.
That's what I think. I'm just gonna grow auto flowers this year. But my veggie seedlings, they're all fucked.
Yeah.
Not much I can do about it now.
Just replant.
I'm gonna have to restart.
Yeah.
I might just direct sow at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, the tomatoes. The only way that's gonna really work out is if it stays warmer into October. But
I pretty much grow stuff that I can't buy from my neighbors.
Yeah.
Like sweet corn. My neighbors are the Brockway farm. They make great sweet corn. It used to be Roger, the old man. I don't think he grows anymore. He was growing until he was like 90. His corn was great.
Wow.
So why am I going to grow sweet corn when for $1 I can buy that's why I just grow heirloom varieties. I think I'm going to grow red corn this year.
I saw someone had red corn. I don't remember where the fuck I saw that, but they had red corn, and I was intrigued. I wonder what it's like. And,
tastes like corn.
Well, of course, but I always wonder, because I don't think I've had too many different varieties of
Oh no.
our corn.
Yeah.
So, and to be honest with you, they all taste the same pretty much to me.
Those of us at the big longhouse have been doing that stuff for years.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We're growers, not showers.
Yeah. For all you listeners out there, now you've heard it. Growers, not show. Hey, maybe we should have named the show that.
That'll be this episode.
Yep.
I don't know.
That's pretty funny, actually.
It is pretty funny, but I'm trying to keep it
I know. Well, I think we did a pretty good job. Whew. Okay.
It's Sage Against the Machine with me, Joshua, and
Isaac.
Yes, we're coming at you. Find us on YouTube, iTunes, Amazon Music, all the things. Go see our sister podcast, Women's Dance, and of course the Aboriginal Outlaws podcast, the originator, the pollinator today. It's the pollinator. And good night. Good night, good luck.
Later.
I should do one more welcome just to make a second episode.